Hi, I'm Barbara Lucas, and welcome to the Green Room, where we explore the environmental topics that green up our world. Today we'll be discussing an often overlooked environmental issue, soil erosion. Our guest today is Katie Lee, Soil Erosion Supervisor with the Washtenaw County Water Resources Office. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just get to the basics. What is soil erosion?
Soil erosion is a natural process. It's the dislodging of soil by wind, water, or ice.
Okay, and what is the relationship between erosion and vegetation?
When you remove vegetation, you're removing the root structure, which keeps soil in its place. So soil is more prone to erosion without the vegetation.
And another term we'll be talking about is sedimentation. What is that?
Sedimentation is the depositing of the eroded soil particles where they end up.
And what kind of activities disturb root structure?
Construction activities, new developments, home building, new ponds, road projects, and utilities are some of the activities.
And in terms of why we need to be concerned about this, environmental issues, of course, are a big concern. And I often think of new construction in terms of energy efficiency or maybe even chemical pollution, but I don't usually think about dirt. So let's talk about some of the impacts, for instance, on fish. What are those?
Well, sediment-laden water can cover fish eggs and prohibit the hatching of the eggs. Sediment-laden water can also clog the gills of fish, and it can also raise the water temperature for the fish's habitat.
And a lot of fish can't handle that, right?
Correct.
Yeah, like cold water trout, that
Yeah.
the fishermen love. In terms of pollutants such as pesticides getting attached, how can that be a problem?
When soil particles start to erode and they're on the move, they can pick up pesticides, herbicides, oils, and they're deposited out with sediment wherever that may be, on the bottom of a lake, a stream, in your backyard, wherever that water is going to carry that sediment.
And what's the relationship between erosion and flooding?
Erosion can clog culverts, catch basins, which cannot let the stormwater pass through, and it can impact flooding on property, structures, and even roadways. And on roadways, sediment can be very slippery for vehicles and even pedestrians.
And bicycles, I've had that
Bicycles
happen.
too.
Yeah. How about recreational impacts?
Well, we all like to swim and go boating in clean water, so muddy water is not advantageous for that. And also, if you have enough sediment depositing in the lakes and streams, it changes the depth, so that changes the opportunities for fishing and even canoeing.
Yeah. And how about economic impacts?
It is more costly to clean sediment-laden water for drinking water, for example.
So that's taxpayer money.
Yes.
The ordinance your office works with is a mouthful. Can you tell us the name?
It's called the Washtenaw County Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control Ordinance.
Okay, and what's the goal?
Our goal is to serve the public by keeping waters of the state and county clean.
And do you cover the whole county?
We cover 12 jurisdictions, so we cover 9 townships and 3 cities.
And can you summarize the permit process for us?
Sure. If a soil erosion permit or waiver is needed, the applicant needs to come to our office to submit the application and a site plan. Once we receive that information, we'll go ahead and do a preliminary inspection and a plan review. If we need additional information, we'll contact the applicant, work with them on that information that's needed. And once we have all that information, we can then issue a permit. And once we issue a permit, the inspection process begins.
And when you do the inspections, what are some of the most common control measures you look for?
The 3 most common types of control measures used on site are silt fence, stone drives, and catch basin protection.
Let's talk about each. What are the silt fences?
The silt fence is that black fabric fence you see on construction sites. It's a woven fabric, it's porous, so it's meant for water to go through and sediment to stay on the project site and not leave site.
Okay. And the stone drives?
Stone drives is an access to construction sites for vehicle or equipment to use, so they don't track sediment off-site.
And what can they do about catch basins?
Catch basins specifically have protection made for them to be installed around construction sites, so we don't want sediment into those because those ultimately drain storm water, and we don't want to have any muddy water go into our lakes and streams.
And it could cause flooding too if they're clogged up, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how about building near steep slopes or, say, lakes or streams?
Those are sensitive areas and hard to grow areas. So we have what we call erosion control blankets. We'll have erosion control blankets installed on steep slopes or along wetlands or inland lakes and streams. It acts as a temporary control measure, and it temporarily stabilizes the site and reduces the erosion risk.
And how about if you're doing construction right next to the water? Is there something you can do to protect the water?
Yes, there actually is. It's something called a turbidity curtain. They are actually anchored out into the waterway, and they float on top of the water. So it gives the workspace along that water's edge to be worked in, and sediment can't get into the larger body of water.
Great. The fish will thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's the last thing you look for before signing off on a project?
To close a permit out to do a final inspection, we need to have permanent stabilization. And usually that consists of three things. You can either seed and mulch your site, but we have to wait for the grass to grow. You can install hydroseed, but we have to wait for the grass to grow. Or you can install sod, which permanently stabilizes your site as soon as it's installed.
So as a member of the public, if you were to drive by and see some kind of erosion, sedimentation coming off a construction site, say maybe entering a stream or something, what can you do?
You can contact our office. We welcome the concerns. You can reach us at 734-222-6860.
And how can people find out more online?
For more information, you can also look at our website. Our web address is drains.ewashtenaw.org, and you can also like us on Facebook.
Okay, great. Well, we're out of time today, but thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
For an online archive of today's show, go to ewashtenaw.org/greenroom. Thanks for joining us here in the Green Room.